All right, so today we're going to be taking a deep dive into the world of Amazon organization products. We're using a snapshot of search results, and it's going to be interesting to see what's trending. Yeah, maybe we'll even spark some ideas for like our own organization projects.
Yeah, what's really cool is we're not just looking at products just by themselves. We're looking at what people are actually buying. It gives us a window into how people are trying to create order in their lives, which I think says a lot about where we are culturally right now.
Totally, yeah. And right away, I noticed drawer organizers are like everywhere. And, I get it, who hasn't struggled with like that jumbled sock drawer? But I am curious, what do you think is driving this desire for visual order? Is it just like an aesthetics thing, or is there something deeper going on?
I think it's a little bit of both, honestly. On a really practical level, having things organized saves time and reduces stress. But there's actually research showing that visual clutter can really impact our cognitive function, and it can even increase cortisol levels, the stress hormone. So creating visual order might actually be a way of taking care of our mental well-being.
Oh, wow. I'd never thought about like the stress connection there. But that makes total sense. And speaking of stress, we can't overlook those magnetic spice racks, the ones designed for refrigerators and ovens. Are we just all obsessed with spice organization now?
Maybe, haha. It's interesting to think about how these products reflect our changing lifestyles. I mean, kitchens are often smaller these days, and we're all trying to find ways to maximize space and efficiency. Plus, there's that visual element. A perfectly arranged spice rack is very Instagrammable.
That's true. Okay, before we get too lost in the spice aisle, though, I want to highlight something that I found really encouraging. The number of products that have sustainability certifications, like these house day hangers. They're made from recycled materials, and they have that global recycled standard label, meaning they meet certain environmental and social criteria throughout the entire production process.
Yeah, that's a great example of how consumer demand is driving change. People want to make sustainable choices. And so companies are responding by offering products that, align with those values. We also see the Forest Stewardship Council certification on some of these Morale Value wooden hangers, which basically means the wood is coming from responsibly managed forests.
That's awesome. It's like your hangers can actually help protect forests and wildlife.
Uh,
Sign me up.
ah,
Okay, but enough about hangers for now. Let's broaden things out a little bit. I noticed a ton of makeup organizers, label makers, under sink organizers, all in the search results.
yeah, it seems like every nook and cranny has its own specialized organization solution these days.
Exactly. It's like there's this whole hidden world of organization products just waiting to be discovered. But before we go spelunking through every category, I want to pause and ask you, what does your ideal organization system look like? Like, what are the key elements that really matter to you?
Hmm, that's a great question. As we've been talking about all these products, it's really struck me that organization is more than just function these days. It's become an aesthetic too.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, think about those makeup organizers.
Yeah.
They're practically designed to be displayed,
Huh.
turning your vanity into a little boutique.
Exactly. And it's not just makeup. Even those label makers, which used to be purely functional, they now come in all sorts of stylish designs. It's about adding a touch of personality to your organization system.
So it's not just about hiding clutter away anymore. It's about making organization itself part of your decor.
Right. And I think that's a really interesting shift. It suggests that people are really looking for organization solutions that don't just work well, but also look good
Yep.
and reflect their style.
Yeah, I'm totally with you on that. It's like organization has become a form of self-expression.
Wow.
But I also wonder, is there a downside to this? Like, does this focus on the aesthetic create pressure to have a perfectly Instagrammable pantry or linen closet?
That's a great point. I think there's always a risk of taking things too far. You have to remember that organization should ultimately serve you, not the other way around. If you're stressing about having the perfect spice rack, it kind of defeats the purpose, right?
Totally. It's about finding that balance between function, aesthetics, and of course, sustainability.
Speaking of sustainability, I think it's worth digging a little deeper into the certifications we mentioned earlier. Understanding those labels can help you make more informed choices, choices that really align with your values.
Okay, yeah, let's talk about certifications. What should our listener be looking for when they're browsing these Amazon listings?
Well, one of the most common ones is the Global Recycled Standard, or GRS. It ensures that products contain a certain percentage of recycled materials and meet specific social and environmental standards throughout the manufacturing process.
So like those house day hangers we talked about,
Yeah.
they're GRS certified, which means they're not just good for your closet, they're good for the planet.
Exactly. And another one that's important is the Forest Stewardship Council certification, or FSC. This one applies to wood products, like those Moralvy hangers, and it guarantees that the wood comes from responsibly managed forests.
That's so cool. It's like you're supporting sustainable forestry just by choosing the right hangers. But with all these different certifications, it can be hard to keep track. What's like the main takeaway for our listener?
I think the main thing is to just be aware of these certifications
Yeah.
and look for them when you're shopping, even if you don't understand all the details. Just knowing that a product has been vetted by a reputable third party can give you peace of mind.
Totally. And it sends a message to companies that sustainability matters to consumers. Hey, before we wrap up, I want to circle back to something you said earlier about organization being like a form of self-expression. Do you think this trend is changing how we think about our homes and possessions?
Absolutely. I think it reflects a broader cultural shift towards mindfulness and intentionality. We're becoming more aware of the impact of our choices, both on ourselves and on the environment. And that's manifesting in how we organize our spaces, curate our belongings, and ultimately how we create a home that reflects our values and aspirations.
That's such a great point. It's like organization is no longer just about tidying up. It's about creating a space that truly reflects who we are and how we want to live.
Exactly. And I think that that's a really empowering message for our listener. It's about taking control of your surroundings and creating a space that supports your well-being and brings you joy.
I love that. So as we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I want to leave our listener with a thought. What story does your home tell about you? And how can you use organization to shape that narrative in a way that feels authentic and meaningful?
Okay, so we've been talking about a lot, but let's talk about that feeling, like that feeling of satisfaction you get when you have a perfectly organized space.
Oh, absolutely. There's something so gratifying about like opening a drawer and seeing everything like all neat and arranged, or walking into your pantry and every item has its place. It's almost like a visual representation of having your life together, even if it's just like in this one tiny corner of your world.
Right, exactly. But I'm curious, what is it about visual order that makes us feel so good?
Yeah, is it just like an aesthetics thing?
Yeah.
Or is there something like deeper going on?
You know, I think it really taps into our need for control and predictability. Like the world can feel so chaotic, right? So overwhelming. But our homes are supposed to be our sanctuaries. So when we create order in our spaces, we're basically creating a sense of calm and control in our lives.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It's like we're imposing order on the chaos, even if it's just like in our sock drawer.
Yeah, exactly. And that sense of order can spread to other parts of our lives too. When we feel more in control of our surroundings, we tend to feel more confident and capable overall.
Wow, I hadn't thought about it like that. But I can totally see the connection. So it's not just about having a tidy home then, it's about cultivating a sense of peace and well-being.
Exactly. And I think that's really powerful for our listener. It's about recognizing that organization is more than a chore. It's a tool we can use to create a space that supports our mental and emotional well-being.
I love that. So as we're wrapping up this deep dive into the world of Amazon organization products, what's the one key takeaway that you want our listener to walk away with?
Well, I think the most important thing to remember is this. Organization is a journey. It's not a destination. There's no one right way to do it. What works for one person might not work for another. The key is to find what works for you, your space, and your lifestyle.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
It's about experimenting, right? Finding what sparks joy and creating a space that really reflects your unique personality and needs.
Exactly. And remember, those Amazon search results are just a starting point. There's a whole world of organization solutions out there, both online and in stores. So go explore, get inspired, and create a space that truly feels like your own.
Perfect. Well, I think we've given our listener plenty to think about.
Ugh.
Time to step away from the screen, maybe tackle that junk drawer, and see what kind of organizational magic you can create.
Happy organizing.
Until next time on The Deep Dive. So we've talked about the psychology behind it, the sustainability angle and the aesthetics of it all. But I want to go back to something we mentioned before, that feeling of satisfaction you get from a perfectly organized space.
Oh, yeah, for sure. There's something really gratifying about it. Opening a drawer and everything's arranged just so. Or going into your pantry and, every item has its own spot. It's almost like
Wow.
a visual representation of having your life together, even if it's just in one little corner of your world.
Yeah, totally. It's like a reward for all your hard work.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering, what is it about that visual order that makes us feel so good? Is it just the way it looks? Or is there something more to it?
That's interesting. I think it might be about our desire for control and predictability. The world can feel so chaotic sometimes, but our homes are supposed to be like our safe space. So by creating order in our spaces, we're kind of creating a sense of calm and control in our lives.
That makes sense. Like we're imposing order on the chaos, even if it's just like our sock drawer.
Exactly. And you know what? That sense of order can carry over
Yeah.
into other parts of our lives. When we feel in control of our surroundings, we often feel more confident in general.
Well, I never thought about it like that. But yeah, I can see how that would be true. So it's not just about having a tidy house. It's more about like cultivating a sense of peace and well-being.
Exactly. And that's, I think, a really powerful message. It's about realizing that organization, it's not just a chore. It's a tool to create a space that supports your mental and emotional well-being.
I love that. So as we wrap up this deep dive, this whole world of Amazon organization products, what's the one thing you really want our listener to remember?
I think the most important thing is this. Organization, it's a journey, not a destination. There's no right or wrong way to do it. What works for one person might not work for another. It's all about finding what works for you, your own space, and your lifestyle.
Yeah, absolutely. It's about experimenting, finding what you enjoy, and creating a space that truly reflects you.
Exactly. And remember, those Amazon search results, they're just a starting point. There are so many other organization solutions out there, online, in stores, everywhere. So get out there, explore, get inspired, and create a space that really feels like yours.
I love it. Well, I think we've given our listener a lot to think about. Time to log off, maybe tackle that junk drawer, and see what kind of organization magic you can create.
Happy organizing.
And that's it for this deep dive. See you next time.